Though prosecutors want the death penalty for Kyle Flack. He's the man charged in a quadruple homicide that happened last year near Ottawa. One of those victims included an 18-month-old girl, but it has been decades since Kansas executed anyone. New at 6, our Amy Hawley now joins us live. And Amy, you found out today that the death penalty could be a big waste of taxpayers' money.
Death penalty in part because of the atrocious acts they say Kyle Flack allegedly committed last summer. As heinous as the allegations are, though, a growing number of people now believe the death penalty in Kansas wouldn't only punish the accused, but the victims and you, the taxpayer, too.
I think it's a monumental waste of taxpayer money.
It's why this criminal defense attorney believes in Kansas, the death penalty is dying a slow death. Paul Cram was the defense attorney in one of the state's last death penalty cases, the murder trial of Kelsey Smith, a girl who went to an Overland Park Walmart and never came home. Her killer saw her in the parking lot, abducted, and murdered her. A vicious crime, but Cram says the death penalty was dropped for life in prison, in part because of the enormous cost to taxpayers and the victim's family, who spends years in the appeals process.
Just be a part of their life, literally for decades.
Opponents say the average cost for a death penalty case costs taxpayers an average of $1,200,000. A life in prison case costs much less, at $740,000.
When you ask the taxpayers to pay the bill, and when they realize how much smaller that bill is for litigation of a case when the defendant will simply spend the rest of their life in prison, it is simply a more responsible way to spend the taxpayers' money.
Since 1994, millions of dollars have been spent to put 9 people on Kansas's death row, including serial killer John Robinson. All are still alive. Kansas's last execution was in 1964.
We used to talk about that was the difference between getting the call from the Lord or getting the call from the governor. You're going to die in prison.
So it takes a very long time, but proponents say the death penalty still remains a deterrent for criminals, and enough lawmakers believe in that a legislative proposal to abolish it this year didn't even make it out of a legislative committee. So the lawmaker that I talked to today who proposed that bill says today's Kyle Flack death penalty case will make him retry that again next year. In the newsroom, Amy Hawley, 41 Action News.
Thank you, Amy. And more states have the death penalty than those who do not. 32 states, in fact, do include the death penalty. That's including also Kansas and Missouri, where an execution is scheduled just after midnight. And 18 states, plus Washington, D.C., do not have the death penalty. Across the country, CNN reports there were 39 executions last year, and that was only the second time in 2 decades that executions dropped below 40.